PLB Professional Languages Brazil podcasts. PLB Languages on Demand. Join us and give your English an upgrade. Visit our website www.plbnet.com.br or call us on 5586 4141 2527.
And now stay with another BBC podcast brought to you by PLB Professional Languages Brazil. Please send us your comments and subscribe our channel.
You're listening to a podcast from the Today programme on BBC Radio 4.
Love Brexit or loathe it, or frankly be bored with it, but one thing is in no doubt. It will lead to many powers covering things like food standards and workers' rights and banking regulations returning home from Brussels. But home to where? That is the subject of an intense power struggle between politicians in Westminster and the devolved administrations in Edinburgh and Cardiff. Now, Theresa May's ministers argue that they must ensure that the different countries of the UK don't adopt different rules after Brexit, which might act as barriers to trade here or indeed to trade deals with other countries. They accuse the SNP of using any excuse to sever the ties that bind Britain together. That's an accusation I put to the First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, when I spoke to her in Edinburgh.
Well, that's simply not the case. What we're trying to do to simplify what is a horrendously complicated issue, we're simply trying to protect the powers that the Scottish Parliament already has. Things like agriculture and fishing, environmental policy, food standards, justice, health, these are all currently responsibilities of the Scottish Parliament. Now, at the moment, we have to exercise those powers within the confines of European law. But after Brexit, in terms of the devolution settlement, those powers should return to the Scottish Parliament, and it should be up to us how we exercise them. What the withdrawal bill seeks to do is restrict and constrain the ability of the Scottish Parliament or the Welsh Assembly to legislate in these devolved areas. Westminster effectively wants to be able to impose uniformity in these areas, and that's not acceptable in terms of the broad sweep and fundamentals of the devolution settlement.
You know what the suspicion is and will be of some people, which is you're finding any power you've got over Brexit, you're causing trouble for the Westminster government, in effect to say, look, we won't cooperate with you. We won't give you the blessing, which is needed of the Scottish Parliament, for example, of Brexit legislation, in order to get a bit more power for us in the Scottish Parliament, the Scottish Executive.
It's not about getting more power. It's about keeping the powers we have. It's no secret that I oppose Brexit, and I wish Brexit wasn't happening. I still harbour hopes that Brexit won't happen, or at least we will stay in the single market. But that's not what this is about. This is about protecting the devolution settlement. And even if people have suspicions, I can't believe why they would, that me as an SNP First Minister is behaving in the way you'd describe. Well, you've got a Labour First Minister of Wales who's taking exactly the same position.
How hard line are you willing to be? How far will you push this?
I will not sign up to something that effectively undermines the whole foundation on which devolution is built. And no First Minister, no Scottish Government worth its salt should do so.
So they've got to talk to you, you're saying. Well, they've got to agree with you, otherwise they don't get their Brexit bill in Westminster.
Well, we won't recommend to the Scottish Parliament approval of it. Now, the other point in terms of the reasonableness of our position is the Scottish Government and the Welsh Government jointly put down the amendments, wrote and published the amendments that if the UK government agreed to make these to the withdrawal bill would mean that we could approve it. So we've tried very hard to find agreement, but we've got a position where the UK government is simply not prepared to budge beyond a certain point.
But just so we're clear, it is possible that you, if you get the backing of the Scottish Parliament for this position, say to Westminster, we will not consent to the Brexit bill.
I've said that all along. Yes, I mean...
And you think that's quite a likely possibility? It's not just an idle threat?
Right now, I think it's very likely. Now, we still are trying through discussions to reach agreement, but if I look at the situation right now, I think it is very likely that that's the position both the Scottish Government and the Welsh Government will be in, of saying to our respective parliaments, we do not recommend approval of the withdrawal bill, and we will introduce then our own legislation within devolved matters to give continuity to EU law in the Brexit scenario.
Now, the Scottish National Party have another important power when it comes to Brexit. It's not you personally, you don't sit in Westminster, but many of your colleagues do. They're the third largest party in Westminster. Will they now, should they now, vote with Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party for a customs union, and along with Tory rebels, and be prepared to defeat the government on Brexit?
Well, I can't speak for Labour, obviously, but we will vote for remaining in a customs union and remaining in the single market. That's the SNP position. We've argued all along that if the UK is leaving the EU, something we deeply regret, but if it is, then the least damaging outcome to that would be to remain in the single market and the customs union, and that's the position we've taken, and we'll vote that way in the House of Commons.
From what you've seen of Jeremy Corbyn's speech, does this look like a proposal, not your proposal of course, but one you can work with?
It's movement, I think, and I welcome that, because Labour's position to me is utterly inexplicable, or it has been. So I welcome the movement. Listening, I've not heard all of his speech, but listening to some of it, some of the language still sounds very much like we'll have our cake and eat it, which is exactly the position of the Prime Minister and the Tory government. Why Labour doesn't simply embrace a single market customs union outcome in full is beyond me. I hope if it's on a journey, I hope it gets to that point, and at which point, hopefully, there is a majority in the House of Commons for a soft Brexit, and one that all of the analysis the Scottish Government has published and the analysis that has been leaked from the UK Government shows is the least damaging outcome for our economy and society.
You're not a soothsayer, let alone a commentator. Do you think, nevertheless, that there is a real chance that the government's proposals for Brexit can be blocked or stopped?
I hope so, because they are reckless and will do untold damage, not just now, but for generations potentially to come.
And is there a chance that Brexit itself might be stopped?
I think right now, and as you say, I can't see into the future with any greater certainty than anybody else can. I think right now there is a chance that we could see a majority in the House of Commons that would keep the UK in the single market and the customs union, and that's why I hope Labour does complete the journey it appears to be on, although it's moving very slowly. Equally, I think there's a very real risk right now that the UK crashes out of the EU without a deal. The stakes are that high, and I think that makes it all the more important that those people who don't want to see the Brexiteer ideologues in the Tory government win the day here come together and try to force as much common sense into the process as we can.
But are you and your party now on standby for a possible Westminster election?
I think we're always on standby at the moment the state, the fragility of both, I think, with no disrespect to the Prime Minister's personal position, and also the fragility of the UK government means that any sensible politician has to be on standby for a UK election. I think that, though, does underline just how unpredictable and potentially really damaging this whole process is to the UK as a whole. It beggars belief, actually, that almost 2 years now after the referendum, last week you just had the UK cabinet sitting down to try to work out what on earth it wanted, and that really does tell its own story.
Nicola Sturgeon, First Minister, thanks for joining us.
You can listen to more free content.
PLB Professional Languages Brazil podcasts. PLB Languages on Demand. Join us and give your English an upgrade. Visit our website www.plbnet.com.br or call us on 5586 4141 2527.
Thank you very much for listening, and until next time with another PLB Professional Languages Brazil podcast.
Join our podcasts, PLB Professional Languages Brazil. WhatsApp number 5586 99970 5812.